El Vélez, el Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? Welcome to episode 121 of the Exact Talk Podcast. I am your host, El Velez. How we doing? All right, so thank you for all support. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We do this every Tuesday and every Thursday. They come out at 9 a.m. on all streaming platforms and on YouTube. Shorts will be coming. YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and clip reels. So basically clips. Really want to get those out to you guys. So basically break up the episodes into like little segments to a minute and a half, 90 seconds, stuff like that, so you guys, it's easily digestible for you guys. As you can see, I am wearing a special hat today. I don't wear this one often on the pod. But when the GOAT reclaims his throne, we celebrate. For you guys who live under a rock and are not in tune to what I consider the most high-pressure, fastest, most extreme version of racing this world has ever seen, Formula One. The greatest of all time, Lewis Hamilton. I said it last pod before the weekend. Being that it was Silverstone, being that it was his home race, he had won a record 8 times, and he's the master of that track. The straight is named after him. It's the Lewis Hamilton Straight, the starting straight. When you get into the winner's circle and right over where the positions are, the steps of first, second, third, there's a giant mural above. His car is the biggest. His picture's the biggest, next to Damon Hill and Nigel Mansell, the other Britain greats. And I said that to say goodbye the right way from Mercedes, being that he's going to Ferrari next year, starting a new journey, it would have been only right to win the race that he's known for. And out of the 103 wins that he had before this one, Silverstone was always special. He's won at every single racetrack except Vegas and except Miami, because those are new. Everything else he's won, including tracks that are not even ran anymore. And to put in a performance of that caliber under wet conditions, dry conditions, intermediate conditions, you don't know what's yes, what's no, what's the good thing, what's a bad thing. Put it 1-2 with George Russell. I said that George would have gotten the better car, but I trusted Lewis. If he had a car to win, if he had a car that was available to him, that it was possibility to win, that I trusted Lewis. Start of the race. It's Russell, Lewis, Norris, Max. First time since 1966 or 1962. There were 3 Brits at the starting in the top 3 at the British Grand Prix. George got away really good. Lewis got away really good. Max passed Norris not too long into the first lap. Got into third. What happened from there was an absolute classic of a race that will be talked about for many, many, many years to come. This is an iconic moment in Formula One's history. It's Lewis's redemption. It's Lewis's return to, the top step of the podium after, a crazy number, but it was since 2021, since that botched championship for Verstappen, because that's what it was. He had not won. And he asked himself, even after the race, he said he was very humble about it. He was like, I've seen, I've had days where do I have it anymore? Will the win ever come again? Talking about a guy with 103 wins. Most ever. 7 championships, tied for most ever. Most poles ever. Top 3 in Grand Prix started. You're talking about the pinnacle of the sport. And the most popular driver in the world. And for him to share that with us, that there were dark days, that he is human, only accentuates the performance that he put out on track, which was superhuman. Let's start out. They start off in dries on mediums. Mercedes is pretty quick, but it looks like McLaren's a little bit quicker. First rain starts is a little shower, just a little one. They ask everybody, hey, are we staying on slicks? Everybody in consensus, yes, we're staying on slicks. Okay, they stayed on slicks. It was slippery. Lewis ran a lot better in the wet in that type of condition than just was a little bit more aggressive, just knew where the limits were a little bit more. Then again, he was following George Russell, who was attempting to race through that race track in the lead, facing the ever-changing conditions first. So, Lewis can kind of telegraph and where he could put his car and stuff like that. They get into the first corner in, during the rain, like 15 laps in. And they both overshoot the corner. They go off track, lose massive amounts of time to Lando and Oscar. Lando and Oscar pass them. Lando and Oscar are 1-2. Stays like that for a little bit. We get to pit stops. And, the first thing we hear, George has to retire the car 10 laps after pitting. Because, ironically enough, there was rain, but it was his water system in the car, radiator, what keeps the engine cool. His engine temps was skyrocketing. They didn't want to blow the engine. They knew it was going to blow, so they retired the car. He would have had a car to win. He was on pole. He was one of the fastest 3 cars on track consistently. And when it dried, I believe that he would have had a definite shot. So what happens is they go into the pits. They get on inters because the second cell is massive. Dumps a bunch of water on the racetrack. Not quite the last couple of years had been a downpour, and it's like spray rooster tail 60 feet up, basically almost undrivable. So this was a steady rain, but it wasn't like, oh my God, it is downpouring. Still interweather. Excuse me. You see, once they get on the inters, Lewis is pretty strong. Lando keeps the lead, though. Lando keeps the lead. Verstappen at one point got the lead, but Verstappen's car, he did damage it in qualifying. They replaced every part, so I'm not going to say that it was the qualifying damage. But the Red Bull car, even from qualifying, was not showing that destroy you pace that we were expecting. And Checo had a horrible race. Leclerc had a horrible race. Fernando had a horrible race. Like there was drivers who had horrible races. We're talking about 2-3 laps down, 90 seconds back, because they made the wrong decision on tires at the wrong time. They went on inters too early. Some went on softs for a short stint, even though it was a bad tire. So we get through the wet. The turnover to dry is happening. And Lando's first. Has a decent cushion on Lewis. Lewis is second. He has a decent cushion on him. So he goes to pit. It was him, Piastri, Lewis, and Russell. And what happened was Oscar stayed out another lap by accident. They didn't want to double stack him. McLaren said it was a mistake before. After the race, they should have double stacked him. They would have only lost a couple of seconds, but still maintained 1-2, and probably would have won the race. But they didn't. They left Oscar to dry, to switch on inters when he was on slicks. He was on slicks, lost a bunch of time, ended up, like 6th or 7th, trying to fight back. So Norris gets on inters first. When Norris gets on inters, he keeps up the pace pretty well. It's him and Lewis and him and Lewis and him and Lewis. Then comes the final stop. And it was a definite period of, hey, we're going on to slicks. The track is dry enough. We're going on to slicks. It's not going to rain no more. There was 2 schools of thought. You either go on a mediums if you have them. If you have a medium, you go on a medium. That's what Oscar did. Oscar had the best car at the end of the race. Couldn't do much about it because of that earlier pit stop, leaving that 1 lap out, losing time, and not being able to recover. So Lewis is in a predicament. He's second. Lewis is second, and he pits first. When Lewis pits, they put him on softs because he has no more mediums. He used them in qualifying, I believe. He has no more mediums, or in free practice. He has no more mediums. They have to put him on a scuffed soft from qualifying. Good stop, but it seems like the undercut is not going to work. Lando has enough of a lead that he can get in a pit stop and still get out in front of Hamilton. And then it would have been a proper battle. But everybody thinking that Lando's going on mediums because he has a brand new set, just like they did Oscar. And no. They make Lando, basically, Lando said, let me cover up Lewis. They were between Lewis and Verstappen. Verstappen went on hards. Turned out to be the second best tire at the end of the race. But Lewis put on mediums because that's all he had. He wasn't going to put on hards. They took too much time to warm up. They needed 12 laps of absolute Scott Dixon levels of tire management, Lewis Hamilton prime levels of tire management. So Norris comes in the next lap trying to overcut him. So basically trying to cover up the undercut because Lewis tried the undercut coming in first while being in second. So his outlap, he's going hard on his outlap while Norris comes in and he overshoots his box. When you overshoot your box, it is so precise how you have to be that little second of your crew having to shuffle over to then get to your tire, that's where he lost the lead. He had a 4.4 second pit stop, I believe, or 6 second. It was bad. Average is 2.5 to 2.9. So, and then really good is 2.3 below. The fastest has been a 1.9 by Verstappen's team this year. So that's to give you an idea of like what pit times should look like in Formula One. So he takes that extra little bit of time on pit road, and here comes Lewis down the straight. Lewis gets to turn one and passes Norris while he's exiting pit road. He gets about, I think, 3.3 seconds on him because Norris has to warm up his tires. And Verstappen's right back behind him in hards and had already warmed up the hard tire by like 3 laps already. So he was definitely in phase. Then Lewis Hamilton, I mean, as soon as he got the lead, I was like, I told my dad, I was like, he has to save those tires until the last 2 to 3 laps and then let him go. That's exactly how he did. Textbook. Kept a 3.5, 3.3, 2.8 second lead above Lando. Lando gets passed by Verstappen with 5 laps left. 4 to 5 laps left. And if the race was like I believe if the race was 1 lap longer, at most 2, he would have passed Lewis. The car was that fast. The hard tire was definitely working more than the softs. But Lewis did an incredible job of tire management. Norris's softs wore away trying to go catch him. The Mercedes was really quick. Lewis, knowing the track, helped him a lot. He was super smooth, ran really, really fast times. And he won by 1.7 seconds over Verstappen. Verstappen now with the greatest car, considering McLaren and Mercedes both were faster, finishes second. Norris finishes third. But the most important thing about this race, and the thing that I will cherish the most about this race more than Lewis winning, was the gratitude that Lewis showed when he won. And I knew that was going to be the reaction since 2021, a guy who has won so much and used to winning so much and being at the top. And for so long, just not getting it, not being able to get it done. I knew that the radio was going to be emotional. He was crying. When he got out of the car, he hugged his dad. He hugged his mom, like super humble about it. So I'm so proud that this year my prayers have been answered about Formula One. 6 different drivers have won. We're seeing battles up and down the grid now. Seems like the cars are a lot more closer together, especially when you think McLaren and Red Bull. Mercedes is there. I believe that their upgrades have definitely paid off. And finally getting over that hump. It's not 100-point lead for the championship. It's under 100. It's like 6 in the 70s, maybe low 80s. So it's still possible. This was round 12. We have 25 rounds or 24. We still have the second half of the season. And I believe that we're in for a fight. And Lando will win, and maybe George will win more. And Oscar, I think, should get his first win soon. He's running amazing. Haas is running well the last 2 weeks. Ran double P6s, something that I don't think they ever dreamed of. But yeah, man, it's really nice to see Lewis back in the winner's circle. It's really nice to see somebody other than Verstappen. In that race, it was a question mark of who was going to win. George at the beginning, a little bit of Max, then Norris, Piastri, and then finally Lewis. It was really nice. Really, really nice to see that type of racing, a legendary racetrack, with a legendary weekend, a record-breaking ninth win at his home track in Silverstone, breaks Schumacher's record of 8, I believe, at Spa, if I'm not mistaken. is where Schumacher won the most. If not Spa's Hockenheim, which is his home Grand Prix. But, it's very, very nice as a Formula One fan to see that there's competition again. And I'm very, very excited for what's to come. So shout out to the GOAT, Lewis Hamilton, at home. Loved it. All right, let's get to IndyCar. Another guy who hadn't won in 2 years, Pato O'Ward, the Mexican, the guy who was supposed to go to Formula One, beats, and not even beats, but like stays ahead of a absolute, if you couldn't get any closer than Alex Palou. Pole, got past in pit road on pit cycle, tried to get back at him, ran the car so hard, lost a couple of tenths on some corners, but was there at 3/10, 4/10 for the last 10 laps, through traffic. But Pato O'Ward pulled it off for McLaren SP, Aero McLaren. Finally back in the winner's circle for Pato, the guy that's known as the Ninja. Really well deserved, well run race. Really happy for him. Alex Palou just extends his lead in the points. Mid Ohio is a nice track. Highly technical, very fast. There was a couple incidents here and there, but nothing nuts, nothing crazy. Just Palou and Pato going back and forth all race long, essentially, and Pato getting the best of them on a little bit of pit strategy, and knowing that the tire that he was on, he was comfortable on, while Palou was on the primaries, and he was comfortable on that, and that was the battle. The battle was the battle of red versus primary tires, and Pato won. Not by a lot, but he won. Shout out to Pato O'Ward, first time in 2 years the kid brings one home. NASCAR, a demolition derby, if I ever had to say one. Just like last year, it rained a lot. Red flag, had to get the jet dryers out in the middle of the beginning of stage 3. The race ended on a timer, not even laps, because they had a time that they had to get out of there, which being 9:25. So once the rain stopped, they had a 40 minutes. SVG was working his way up. Got as high as second, led the race. He won. He won stage 1, and then, going to stage 2 before, after the rain, because it was raining and non-raining, and do we go to slicks? Do we stay on wets? People slipping and sliding, and missing apexes, missing braking points. Him and Kyle Larson looked like they were the class of the field. Christopher Bell as well. Ty Gibbs and Tyler Reddick, like I said, the guys that we expected. But SVG, of no fault of his own, in second place, about to chase down Ty Gibbs for first. Gets into turn, I believe that was turn 5 or 6. Normal, he does his normal thing. It is wet. Chase Briscoe from the back gets out of line. Looks like he got out of line because he either lost traction or moved to pass somebody, maybe on the inside. But under further inspection, when you see him, he's kind of out of control. He's kind of faster than what he should be going for the corner that it is. And in real time, you don't think he hits SVG. But when you see the slow motion, he clips SVG while he's turning, speeds him up into the wall, and it's a concrete wall, breaks the steering arm of the right side. He's done. during the third stage, time's running down. Kyle Larson is making his way up. He's like fourth or third, pushing hard, like pushing really hard to try to get to second. And he overcooks the same corner, hits his breaking point too late, starts wheel hopping, hits the corner of the tire barrier, which it's not a lot of tire, and then basically breaks the front end on the concrete barrier at the end. Basically, the tire barrier stops you from hitting the concrete, but he hit the corner of the tire barrier, so he went straight to the concrete. He's fine, but it destroyed the car. If you hit the tire barrier, you know, a lot of people hit the tire barrier and kept going. He hit the concrete. So after all that, we have Joey Hand, multiple-time 2024-hour Daytona winner, Sebring winner, Le Mans winner, hell of a road racer. And this is after Christopher Bell led for a little bit, looked like he was dominant. Then he got caught by Ty Gibbs. And because of pit stops, some people didn't pit, stayed on wets. Some people went on slicks, thinking that Christopher Bell being one of them, he went from the lead to pit on slick to get on the slicks because the track was drying. But what they didn't understand is that the wet tire was still faster. Joey Hand was first, and Joey's like trying to stay ahead of Bowman, but Bowman is charging. Bowman needs a win to get into the playoffs. Bowman hasn't won in over 2 years. They're saying, is Bowman good for Hendrick Motorsports? Do they have to move him? Compared to like his other teammates, William Byron, ton of race wins, 2 champions, and Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. JGR was very strong. So was 2311, especially Tyler Reddick. But you know, that gamble of going on slicks, thinking that you can pass everybody, it didn't pay off for Christopher Bell. Because Joey Hand and Bowman and like the first, I want to say 10 cars, after the leaders pitted for slicks, they stayed out, and Joey Hand was the first. And Joey's trying to hold off Bowman, and Bowman's catching him with Hendrick Motorsports power and, of course, everything that Hendrick brings. You know, I expected Bowman to pass him. He did. Joey got passed twice more. He finished fourth. But it was so nice to see Alex Bowman win in the 48. It hadn't been, you know, the 48 is synonymous with being in victory lane, with winning championships with Jimmy Johnson. And Hendrick, you know, with Lowe's on the hood and stuff, you know, so for him to bring a win, get himself in the playoffs. Now all 4 Hendrick Motorsports cars are in the playoffs, drivers. So it's good. I think it'll bring off a monkey off his back and build confidence that he can get it done. And if he starts winning, then Hendrick has a four-head monster, just like JGR does with Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., Ty Gibbs, Christopher Bell. Fords were pretty strong. Chevys were okay. Kyle Larson was the fastest. So was SVG, but that's more driver than car. SVG won the Xfinity race. Super competitive, super fun, mostly sunny. Actually, all sunny. Thought that was going to be how Sunday went. Not quite. But yeah, man, shout out to Alex Bowman. He deserved it. The streets of Chicago are always exciting. Hopefully it doesn't rain next year as bad as it did this year and the last. But it's very exciting racing. They put lights on them, rain lights on them. That was cool. We're getting closer. They put mud flaps on them. That was cool. We're getting closer to that GT look that they ran at Le Mans. I hope so that they get to that and start running a little bit more circuits and stuff like that. But it's NASCAR at the end of the day. It's still going to be oval racing. And then for Indy, one thing that I missed is that they finally got a hybrid system. So in addition to push to pass, which is basically, I believe, is an increase in boost from the turbo, that they get 150. Well, depending on the track, but this track they got 180 seconds. They got a hybrid system that charges when they let go of the throttle or under braking, and then they can deploy on straightaways and wherever they see fit. Really nice system. Scott Dixon didn't even make it to the start because the system failed and robbed him of all his voltage, basically drained the whole car. He had to retire immediately before even getting to the green flag. But really nice system, exciting. It's going to make the race more exciting. Hopefully in Iowa they have it. I think it's here to stay. I think that this was just the introduction, so we'll see. But I like them having a hybrid system, something more than push to pass that they can use to defend and also to attack. Very, very, very exciting. Okay, let's talk about. I want to talk about the soccer games. So Spain stuns Germany 2-1 in the 119th minute. The one thing I got to say about this game, Germany missed opportunities. Wirtz, Havertz, just opportunity after opportunity. Missed them, open in the box. Tony Kroos putting in some great crosses, some great corner kicks, just couldn't get it done. Fulkrug came in a little bit too late. I would have liked him going in a little earlier. But Spain played their ass off. They've been the best in the Euro Cup this year. And, for a guy like Marino to score the winning goal in the 119th minute right before penalties on a header from an open cross. I think Germany just fell asleep because it was so open. And Fulkrug had the same header, just missed it wide. Marino stuck it in. So Spain moves on. The host country, Germany, loses. It's sad. I love Germany, but I think they'll be back at the World Cup. Portuguese get sent home. Ronaldo, Pepe, in their final international tournament, I believe. Ronaldo being 39, Pepe being 41. They get outlasted in penalties by France. They had a chance in penalties, but they just didn't have enough strikers for the penalty kick. France did. France didn't play a good game, I'd say. I think that, France hasn't played a perfect game. Mbappe had to leave because of his nose again. He hit himself in the mask going up for a ball with his shoulder. And unfortunately, Portugal's done. So one of the GOATs of the sport will never be wearing his home kit ever again. He got emotional. Pepe did as well. They knew what it was. Venezuela loses to Canada in what I call probably one of the messiest games I've ever seen in my life from a turnover standpoint. It was 2 passes and a turnover. Overblown through ball, overblown over ball. Like, no sense of any continuity from either side. No Buchanan for Canada, kind of affects their attacking because Buchanan kind of sets up Alphonso Davies. Didn't hear much from Alphonso Davies this game. But Venezuela played really, really sloppy. Really sloppy. So, Canada moves on. England wins in penalties against Switzerland. Another game of basically cat and mouse. Would attack, don't attack. Miss here, don't try here. If England wants to move on, they got to play better. Let's just say that. Netherlands come back and win against Turkey. They fall down 1-0. They win 2-1. They scored 2 goals in 7 minutes after going down 1-0. And that was it. 2-1, a beautiful cross that was expertly timed. And then the other one, another cross that was timed by Gakpo. Didn't get his foot on it, but it was an own goal. Hit the defender, went in. They won 2-1. I believe England has its job cut out for him with, with the Netherlands in the semifinal. They sent Turkey A home. They say Turkey A, not Turkey no more. So Turkey A. Colombia destroys Panama. James played an amazing game. Had a goal from a penalty. Had 2 assists in the first half. It was 3-0. I stopped watching the game. It ended 5-0. Panama just couldn't get it in the back of the net. They had chances. Even when down 3-0, they still had chances. And they just couldn't capitalize. Colombia moves on to the semifinal against Uruguay. It's going to be very, very crazy. Uruguay stuns Brazil in penalties. Embrick just got beat up. Uruguay plays such a physical brand of football. You talking about 27 fouls, 2 yellow cards, 1 red card for Uruguay, but those yellow cards took their time to be called. Most of the first half, there was none. I believe there was none, actually. And there was over 15 fouls. They play like that. That's how they play. That's why the officials, they give them a little leeway. Brazil didn't meet the challenge. Vinicius Jr. was suspended. Neymar's hurt. Embrick couldn't do it by himself. And ultimately, this Brazilian team was just not the best on the pitch in any moment this whole tournament, and it showed. So Uruguay, Colombia, Wednesday. I'm feeling Uruguay just because of their physical nature. Netherlands, England tomorrow. I believe in the Netherlands. You have France and Spain. And I think Spain has been playing better, especially if Mbappe nose is still bothering him. And then you have Argentina versus Canada. And I'm picking Argentina in that game. Canada shouldn't have a shot in that game. If Canada even makes it 0-0 and they go to penalties, since there's no extra time in Copa America, that'd be insane. I expect Argentina to get this over and done with pretty quick, especially with no Buchanan and only Alfonso Davies to worry about. Okay. Let's talk about the last few things that I want to talk about. The USA men's basketball roster starting lineups. Some discussion has been had over different media outlets. They started training camp, and people are saying you have people starting Tatum, you have some people starting Booker, KD, and my thinking is, you're starting Steph and Bron, so you really got to fill 3 spots. And if you ask me, I rather have KD than Jason Tatum, just because we're most likely running the pick and roll with LeBron. And if I can give LeBron the option of running the pick and roll with a Joel Embiid while he has Steph Curry and KD in the corner, I don't think you want to switch that to Curry and Tatum. Tatum especially shooting well below what Kevin Durant shoots from 3. The 3's shorter, so I expect Curry to dominate. I expect Durant to dominate. My starting lineup, to get through this quickly, it would be Curry, Ant, LeBron, KD, Joel Embiid. I've seen some Curry, Booker, LeBron, Tatum, Joel Embiid. I don't like that. I think Ant gives you a much better defensive and offensive firepower energy-wise. And if we're just thinking, hey, we're going to outscore everybody, we're going to play defense, and we have hella defenders if we really want to defend and we need to. But if we're just going to destroy people, what are you going wrong with Steph, Ant, LeBron, Kevin, and Joel Embiid? I don't think so. I think that should be the starting lineup. We'll see. Drew Holiday has to find some minutes somewhere. Bam has to find some minutes somewhere. AD has to find some minutes. Tyrese Halliburton, Booker. So people got to find minutes. But the starters, I think, to me, would be if I picked the starting lineup, it would be Curry, Ant, LeBron, KD, Joel Embiid. Just the shooting, the playmaking ability, the constant movement without the ball. You can both have KD and Steph both moving off the ball. A lot of spacing. Thinking that Steph is not going to pull it from 30, from 30, 28. Like, it's going to look insane, but it's going to be a normal shot for him. So I expect him to win the gold and handily. I don't know if to challenge the Dream Team 92 blowout, especially the Redeem Team blowout fashions, but with this team, they should. Last but not least, RIP Kyrie Jackson, the car accident. I saw him play in college, hell of a corner. He will be dearly missed, and condolences to all his family and prayers to all his friends and family in this tough time. Finally, we're going to talk about the MLB All Star Game. Rosters are out, complete rosters. A little bit about the NFL. Cameron Sutton got suspended for 8 games for personal conduct policy. No pay. Texans re-signed Jerry Hughes, the end, for his 15th season. Dan Hurley signs a 6-year, $50 million contract extension with UConn. Well-deserved. 2 championships, going for a 3rd. Didn't go to the Lakers, so well-deserved. DeMar DeRozan goes to the Kings. Do I believe that is a winning move? DeMar DeRozan has hella deficiencies on the defensive end. Doesn't shoot the 3 ball a lot or well, unless he works on it this offseason. And even then, I don't think that he can get to even De'Aaron Fox's level. Do I believe that they'll have the best midi combination in the league? Yes. Is that going to win you games and get you deep into the playoffs? I don't think so. I love De'Aaron Fox. Loved him since Kentucky. Love DeMar. But I think that the West is just too stacked. And this move is like, let's put a Band-Aid on something that, it looks like it could be fixed. But in the grand scheme of things, it really is not going to go anywhere. So. But shout out to DeMar going to the Kings. Didn't go to Miami. Another one we miss out on. So your National League All-Star pitchers is what we were waiting for. Glasnow, no-brainer. Helsley, the closer for Cardinals, no-brainer. Jeff Hoffman, the reliever for the Phillies, no-brainer. Shota Imanaga, no-brainer. Reynaldo Lopez for Atlanta, absolutely no-brainer. Chris Sale, no-brainer. Tanner Scott for the Marlins. Every team has a representative. Excuse me. Every team has a representative. It's supposed to have a representative. We sent Tanner Scott. I don't care who we sent. We suck. Paul Skeens for the Pirates. He should be the starter. I'm saying it right now. It should be Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens as the starter if they really want to get eyeballs on this game. Matt Strom, the reliever for the Phillies, usually the guy that comes after the starter. Ranger Suarez, no-brainer. Robert Suarez for the Padres, been pitching pretty well. Logan Webb been pitching pretty well. Zach Wheeler been pitching pretty well. People saying Gavin Stone, different people, but I think that this is a great lineup right here, and I think you should go Skeens. Out of this lineup, I'm still going to go Skeens. I think Skeens should start the All Star game. I believe he will. I believe they'll make that decision. He becomes the first overall pick in MLB history to become an All Star the following season. He's going with 10 games, 2.12 ERA, 78 Ks, and 59 point and a third innings. Just absolutely just disgusting. So the Kings received DeMar DeRozan. Bulls received Chris Duarte, 2 second-round picks in cash. Spurs received Harrison Barnes. That's it. That's what DeMar DeRozan went for. Durant tweaked his ankle a little bit in practice for the USA. I think he'll be fine. Kyle Kuzma, the Kings are still remain interested. That would be a different type of signing. I've heard different teams have been interested. LeBron signed $101.355 million. Took $3 million less than the 104 max to keep him just under the apron. Not that they're gonna have any type of flexibility, because I don't think so. Let's see. Fontecchio stays with the Pistons. Miles Bridges signs a 3-year, $75 million contract to go back to the Charlotte Hornets. Lauri Markkanen, the Golden State has a heavily pick-based offer on the table for Lauri Markkanen. I believe they're also offering Kuminga. That would be a good move. I don't know if they're going to pull it off, but it would be a good move. Giannis eliminates Luka from Olympic contention, from Olympic qualifying. Puerto Rico beats Lithuania in Puerto Rico to secure their first Olympic qualification since in men's basketball since 2004. The Clippers, the Heat, and the Kings were all involved in DeMar DeRozan sign and trade sweepstakes. Devontae Graham went back to the Hornets. Dak has a minor right foot sprain that they saw him in some island with a boot on. Franz Wagner got a 5-year, $224 million contract. It could be worth as more as $269 million. Absolutely well deserved. Yes, he doesn't shoot from 3 well. I think he'll develop that. He's only like 22. I think the sky's the limit for him. He can score. He can pass. He can rebound. I think that this is well deserved for Franz. Caleb Martin leaves Miami to go to the Philly with Paul George and Embiid. Miami are showing interest in Lauri Markkanen. That'd be a good signing. Buddy Hield goes to Golden State. It's basically like the best. We talked about it. It's like the best 1-for-1. Not 1-for-1, but like 1 for 0.75 of like what Klay Thompson was. The starters for the National League: William Contreras, Bryce Harper, Ketel Marte, Alec Boehm, Jerickson Profar, Christian Yelich, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Shohei Ohtani. Pretty good. Adley, Vladdy, Jose Altuve, Gunnar Henderson, J. Ram, Stephen Kwan, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Jordan Alvarez. Pretty good. For the AL, the pitchers for the AL, let me look for it. I thought I did have it. I thought I did have it saved, but I guess I did not. I guess I did not. So I'm gonna go to the people that posted the pitching lineup. Look for the AL pitching because Scoobs is there. Tarek Scooble's there for sure. Bobby Witt's going. Let me see here. So the All-Star reserves for the National League: catcher Will Smith for the Dodgers, of course. C.J. Abrams, of course. Pete Alonso. The Mets needed to send somebody. I would have picked Francisco Lindor, but it's heavy on shortstops. Luis Arias, yes, because of the hitting. Alec Boehm, absolutely. Ellie De La Cruz, leading the league in bases stolen, and has a pretty good season going. Freddie Freeman, pretty consistent. Ryan McMahon for the Rockies, had to send one. It was him or Ezekiel Tovar for me. Outfielders, Teoscar Hernandez for the Dodgers, been mashing. Jackson Merrill for the Padres, great for the rookie to make it. Elliot Ramos from the Giants, great story. He makes it. And Brian Reynolds from the Pirates. And then at DH, Marcelo Osuna from Atlanta. Beautiful lineup. No complaints there, really. In the American, you have Salvador Perez, catcher. No problem there. Carlos Correa, no problem. Rafael Devers, no problem. Josh Naylor, no problem. Isaac Paredes, I guess they needed to send somebody for the Rays. I guess you send Isaac Paredes. Marcus Semien could have sent maybe Seager, but that's okay. Bobby Witt Jr., of course. Jaden Duran, he made it in. He had an all-star seat first half. Riley Green for the Tigers, needed to send somebody besides Scoobs. Riley Green, I think, was the right choice. Kyle Tucker for the Astros, he's hurt. I don't know if he's going to play. And David Fry for the Guardians, a really nice surprise story out of the Guardians being one of the best teams in baseball. Your all-star starters for the American League: Tyler Anderson for the Angels, only representative of the Angels. Been pitching really well. Corbin Burns, of course. Emmanuel Clase, of course, for the Guardians, leading the league in saves. Garrett Crochet for the White Sox. Absolutely. If you're going to send somebody from the White Sox, Garrett Crochet's the guy. Logan Gilbert for the Mariners. Could have picked between him, Kirby, Castillo. I like Gilbert. Clay Holmes for the Yankees. There were other guys. Jansen. There was a list of guys that maybe could have made it over him. Tanner Houck for the Red Sox, of course. Seth Lugo has been lights out. Mason Miller has been absolutely astronomical for the A's. As a, the Reaper, as a closer. Cole Reagans makes sense. Tarek Skubal, that's your starter. And then Kirby Yates of the Rangers, a good reliever this year. I think it'll be a good game. A lot of nice matchups. The one that I'll probably look forward the most is Skeens versus Ohtani, of course. I think that would be a matchup in heaven, especially if it's the first matchup we see. It's a possibility. I strongly urge. Congratulations to all the players that made it. I strongly urge Torey Lovello to start Paul Skeens. There is no other pitcher in that lineup, that starting pitcher especially, that exudes the type of reaction from a fan base and a fan's perspective as Skeens. He's taken over the league. So I think that would be a good. And then against Kubel, probably the best pitcher in baseball at this moment, would be a great matchup in the first inning in that game. But yeah, that's all, guys. Pretty quick episode today. Not a lot to talk about because we're in the off season of everything. But thank you for all the support. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on TikTok. I love you guys. God bless. And I leave you with the outro.
El exec, el exec, el exec. El Vélez, el Vélez, el Vélez. El fenómeno que todos quieren ser. El chamaquito que no pueden